I will invite Dr. Reza Baqir Saab, former Governor State Bank, to say a few words.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. सबसे पहले इकराम साहब आपका बहुत-बहुत शुक्रिया for the invitation to be here with you today. And let me recognize my predecessor Yaseen Saab, Seema Kamil Sahiba, good to be at this event with you. Samar and your entire team, it's really a great pleasure. Ikram Saab, to see this day finally happening, I can't tell you how many countless hours I had spent during my time as governor, together with Seema, together with Samar, together with many other colleagues, trying to chart the journey. Okay, when are we going to finally get the State Bank initiated Asaan Mobile Account scheme moving forward? And as you know, we did the soft launch primarily as an innovative way to get at least the messages out while we were waiting for the mass media campaign to get started. So at the outset, जो चीज़ मैं ख़ास कर कहना चाहता हूँ वो ये है कि आज बहुत खुशी का मौका है कि ये फॉर्मल लॉन्च इसकी आज हो रही है. तो आप सबको जिन्होंने इस पे मेहनत की है बहुत बहुत मुबारक. आसान मोबाइल अकाउंट इज़ वन ऑफ द मैनी इनिशिएटिव्स जो कि पाकिस्तान में डिजिटाइजेशन के लिए जो काम हो रहा है उसको और भी आगे बढ़ाएगा. लेकिन मैं सबसे पहले शुरू करना चाहता हूँ थोड़ी सी एक स्नैपशॉट लेने के लिए कि हमारी इकॉनमी में, हमारी मईशत में डिजिटाइजेशन की तरफ क्या हो रहा है. बिकॉज इट इज़ इम्पॉर्टेंट टू टेक a step back and recognize or realize the scale at which digitization is proceeding. And you may or you may not know, but the State Bank of Pakistan puts out a very, very useful quarterly report on payments. And it's titled Payments, but it's actually very illustrative to look at the magnitude of digital payments that are taking place in Pakistan. The last such report, I believe, is the one from March, or at least that's the one that I have my numbers from. And State Bank would now have more up-to-date numbers. But I want to quote a few numbers from there so that you recognize the scale of growth of digitization in Pakistan, especially over the recent few years. So, according to this report released in March, and if you look at the period from July of 2021 to March of 2022, you will see, first of all, that the total number of e-banking transactions, which are all transactions that pertain to banks or other intermediaries that happen through digital means, whether it's internet banking, whether it is mobile banking, whether it is other non-paper ways of banking. That has risen to 1.1 billion transactions in that 9-month period. And that compares to 860 million transactions in the same period last year, which comes to a growth of 36% in this fiscal year. When you look at the figures in terms of values, or how much in rupee terms is being conducted right now through digital means, in fiscal year 21, over this period, that figure was 63 trillion rupees. Okay? 63 trillion rupees was the total amount that was being transacted. This fiscal year, through March, that figure had risen 52% to 96 trillion rupees. So 96 trillion, and this is a 3-quarter figure, so by the time you have the figures for the whole fiscal year, that figure would be well above easily 120 trillion rupees. So that is the scale, and the growth is 50%. So if you just work that forward and see what is the opportunity for digitization in Pakistan, you will be able to do the math yourself. Another key statistic that I want to share with you in terms of digitization is one of the initiatives that was mentioned, which is RAST, Pakistan's free, fast, and secure payment system that was launched just a few months ago. And in just a few months, the number of RAST IDs has risen to 18 million RAST IDs. Now, 18 million in a population that we have around 200 million may not seem large, but the total number of bank apps that are in Pakistan on people's phones is 21 million. So out of those 21 million, about 18 million people in Pakistan already have a Rast ID, which is important because it's one of the State Bank's huge initiatives to promote digitization in Pakistan. It's free, it's fast, i.e. in a few seconds the payment is done, and it's secure. So if you haven't tried it yet, I really encourage you to try that. Now, these were just some figures to show everybody the broader scale of digitization activity that is occurring in our country. As Seema Sahiba has said, there is a lot more to do as well. She already shared with you some statistics about where we are in terms of account ownership. If she had shared these statistics in terms of access to credit, or access to savings products, or access to investment products at the retail level, these statistics would have been a lot lower. So we have a journey in front of us, a journey that I like to illustrate often by comparing the number of mobile SIM accounts, which is about 190 million, to the number of unique bank accounts, which is around 80 million, according to the last figure. So Seema Sahiba said very aptly that there are at least 50 million people who can easily be banked who are not banked yet. Now, in my view, a number of the initiatives that the State Bank has underway are going to deliver, I think, progress at a much faster pace than we have seen recently. And I want to recap some of these so that people understand that there is a broader ecosystem of all the digitization work that we, the State Bank, is pushing, and want to then end about how AMA fits into all of those. So first is the digital onboarding initiative. This was launched a few months ago by the State Bank, and what it allows is that people with an app on their phone, it requires a smartphone, but if you have an app of the bank on your phone, you can do your remote biometric on your app, on your phone. And you can open an account just simply by having an app. Rast, I already mentioned. Third is the licensing framework for digital banks. This is a very exciting journey that the State Bank of Pakistan started last year. We have had very good interest in the country for digital banking licenses. I think soon the State Bank will be announcing the progress with that, and once licenses are awarded for digital banks, that's going to be another game changer to make it easy for people to bank, to save, and to invest. We have started, and I think the State Bank will soon share something on that as well, a common Know Your Customer framework. When I was at the State Bank, this was, to me, particularly important, because if you have tried to open a bank account, or if you have tried to switch from one bank to another, you would know how difficult it is in terms of the number of forms that you are required to fill out. A common Know Your Customer framework is the framework where you fill out these forms just once. And these forms, all the fields that banks typically ask for, are kept in one repository with your consent. And then if you want to switch banks, you don't have to fill out all those forms again. All you have to do is indicate that you consent for your information to be shared, and you can easily open a bank account in some other bank. The whole goal of an initiative like this is to promote competition between banks and to put the customer first, to put all of you first. And in our current landscape, sometimes we forget that banking is first and foremost, and should be first and foremost, about you. Now, some of these examples that I mentioned of initiatives, our digital onboarding framework, Rast, digital banks licensing framework, our common KYC framework, are all frameworks for our country that I believe are going to help bridge this gap that I spoke about. In this landscape, Asaan Mobile Account is a very, very exciting entry, and that's why I started off by saying how glad I am that we are having this launch today. It's important to recognize that AMA hits a part of the population that maybe is not being very well served by all the other initiatives that I mentioned. And this is particularly that part of the population that may not have smartphones, but they have a phone that has a USSD channel. And if it is as easy as calling *2262# to open a bank account, the population or the segment that AMA is going to integrate into the financial system is huge, and it's a unique opportunity for you, Ikram Saab, right now because of being the only player in this space right now. So the State Bank created the framework of an Asaan Mobile Account. You are the player in this. You have a target market that in a way is prime for you because there are countless people that don't have a smartphone. Even people with a smartphone can access that. And it is now up to you as well as the State Bank what you make of this. I am hoping and confident that you will make the utmost success of it as this journey goes forward. Now, as you take this journey forward, and this is the note that I will end on, I have a few suggestions for your consideration. As somebody who was there when this whole scheme got launched, and to the extent they prove useful in achieving the type of growth that you want, I would be very, very happy to have contributed. The first is something that Seema Sahiba touched upon, which is communication. The mass media campaign has been launched, I believe, but I think there is an opportunity to do a lot more so that you get to any woman, and I'll say woman first, and any man, and at least 1 out of 2 should know what an Asaan Mobile Account is. Would that be the case right now? Probably not. But set yourself the goal. Do focus groups. And until you see that 1 out of 2 women or 1 out of 2 men know what it is or have tried it, don't relax. And there are lots of different ways in which one can communicate. The State Bank recently has been very innovative in communication tools. For those of you who know the Roshan Digital Account initiative of the State Bank even went so far as to create a song to celebrate the Roshan Digital Account. It was something that the State Bank had never done before, to put songs together, but it was done as an innovative way to communicate. And it had a big impact in terms of the outreach of the Roshan Digital Account initiative. So number 1, I would encourage you, is on the communication. There's a long way to go. Second is the customer journey. I think it's easy simply by texting or calling this number, but what happens after that has to be made even easier and made even simpler. You are working in a culture where typically our financial institutions are not geared that way to think. And in the State Bank of Pakistan, I remember when we launched some of our schemes, we had to call the chief technology officers of banks and get into the weeds ourselves as to what should be a smooth customer journey for a customer. I think this was done most recently in Rast when people were called in. It was done also in the time of the Roshan Digital Account. So I encourage you in this case also कि जो भी बैंक्स जिस तरह या आप इंटरफेस बना रहे हैं उसके अंदर घुस के उसको देखें कि क्या ये एक आम औरत या आम आदमी के लिए आसान है कि नहीं है. And don't relax until you feel कि it is. My third suggestion is कि आमा अगर आप लोगों तक पहुंचा देंगे तो वो एक बहुत अच्छा نتیجہ ہوگا، لیکن وہ تب تک چلے گا نہیں جب تک آپ جو مرچنٹس ہیں ان کو آن بورڈ نہیں کریں گے. اینڈ یو ہیو اے ڈیڈیکیٹڈ ڈرائیو ٹورڈز آن بورڈنگ مرچنٹس، بیکاز الٹیمیٹلی اگر آپ کے پاس ایک آسان موبائل اکاؤنٹ ہے لیکن جہاں سے آپ نے کوئی چیزیں خریدنی ہیں، اگر وہ دکاندار اس ذریعے آپ سے پیمنٹ نہیں لے سک رہا تو پھر آپ کے لیے آسان موبائل اکاؤنٹ کا فائدہ آپ دوبارہ سوچیں گے. اور آپ نہیں چاہتے کہ جتنی محنت سے آپ نے ایک اکاؤنٹ کھولا ہو تو پھر وہ ان ایکٹیو ہو جائے. جیسے سیما صاحبہ نے کہا کہ ایک ہماری پرابلم یہ ہے کہ بہت سارے اکاؤنٹس ان ایکٹیو ہو جاتے ہیں. تو مرچنٹس کو کس طرح آن بورڈ کرنا ہے، کیونکہ مرچنٹس کی ریزرویشنز کافی دفعہ ہوتی ہیں کہ وہ کیش میں کام کرنا چاہتے ہیں، کبھی کبھار اس میں ٹیکسیشن کے ایشوز ہوتے ہیں. لیکن یہ دنیا ایسی ہے کہ کمیونیکیشن کے ذریعے اور انسینٹیوز کے ذریعے اگر آپ زور لگائیں تو سوچ سکتے ہیں کہ کیسے آپ نے مرچنٹس کو آن بورڈ کرنا ہے. دیٹس in my view a key constituency جس کو بھولنا نہیں چاہیے. And my last suggestion for your consideration is, as I understand it, آسان موبائل اکاؤنٹ کو آلریڈی ایکسیس ہے یا ہو جائے گا with RTGS جو ہمارا ریئل ٹائم گراس سیٹلمنٹ سسٹم ہے. اس کے ساتھ ساتھ میرے خیال میں بہت اہم ہوگا کہ سوچا جائے کہ آپ نے سسٹمیٹکلی راست کے ساتھ کیسے انٹیگریشن کرنی ہے، کیونکہ جو ہم فیڈ بیک ہے وہ راست سے یہ ہے کہ more and more players are finding that that is the framework on which they want to shift on to. So because that is the future of Pakistan, I firmly believe, I think اگر آپ اس پہ early strategic thinking کریں اور I believe آپ کو جو چیزیں چاہیے تھیں مثلاً APIs وغیرہ وہ آپ کو مل گئے ہیں، تو اس پہ اگر آپ اپنی انٹیگریشن کے بارے میں سوچیں تو I think the dream that we all have کہ یہ آسان موبائل اکاؤنٹ ہر عورت اور ہر آدمی تک پہنچے گا, that will be very well realized. Thank you very much again and I wish you all the best.